I'm about to go into the supermarket and do some monthly shopping, and I'm going to take you in there to show you how to read labels, which foods to avoid and which ones are okay, and hopefully it'll help you next time you're out there shopping. So let's go. Alright, I'm buying some soap because we've run out of soap at home, and I know that it's biodegradable and environmentally friendly, and of course I know all of our products don't have any preservatives in, so I don't actually have to read the labels. I've also run out of crunchies, so I'm going to get some carrot coated crunchies. Then you want a Hulva bar. You want some crunchies? I'll also get 2 Hulva bars for Stephen and I for lunch, and I think the cameraman. Alright, this is an interesting product, because very often something says no chemicals or preservatives added, but in fact what else it's got in, which I'm concerned about, is it's got sunflower oil, which is normal processed heated highly carcinogenic sunflower oil. It also contains sugar, and although there are no chemicals or preservatives added, it's something I personally wouldn't put into my body at all. So that's something you need to look at. That just because something says no preservatives, no additives, you've got to read the rest of the ingredients and make sure that you know exactly what's in that food, because you may find that your children or you have a problem with sugar. We know that refined sugar affects the immune system. Heated and processed fats, normal sunflower oil, normal olive oil, unless it says extra virgin or cold pressed 100% pure, is highly carcinogenic. It means it encourages the formation of cancer. So you need to know those things when you're reading the label. So let's move on. I actually like these olives, really nice sliced calamaters. But again, you see here there's a problem. So, olives, vinegar, garlic, salt, herbs, sunflower oil. So I'm not going to buy it because it's got heated processed fats in it. Very often you may find that the green version of the black one doesn't contain any oil. And for example, this has got green olives and brown, which is just salt and water. So now that one I would buy. Okay, come down. These are my favorite chopped tomatoes in here. There's just chopped peeled tomatoes. There's no salt, there's no water, there's no additives, there's nothing. And I like the ones in the carton. They also make a really nice tomato puree, and that is also just crushed tomatoes. Let's get the ingredients here. It's tomatoes and salt, and that's all that is in here. There's no sugar, and that's a lot of tomato products contain sugar, so I avoid them. This is the kind of thing that the average young person today or family would buy. It's one of these sort of quick soup things that people drink, but I mean, it's got maltodextrin, modified salt, happens to have some peas, creamer is like coffee creamer that you put into coffee or tea, and it's highly processed heated vegetable fats. It's got milk powder in it, dipotassium phosphate, wheat flour with gluten. So it's got croutons, which is more wheat flour and gluten in it, hydrogenated vegetable oil, that's like margarine, salt, yeast, vegetables, monosodium glutamate, which is sometimes just called, or MSG, called a flavor enhancer, vegetable fat, even more vegetable fat, okay? Cream again, flavorants, which could be more monosodium glutamate, and then it happens to have parsley, is about the only good thing that's in here. Flavor enhancer, another flavor enhancer, more colorant, and ham of all things. Okay, so we won't be buying that, definitely not. Okay, let's just move on to look at some of the salts. I don't buy any of the normal oils of the supermarket. I only use extra virgin or cold pressed oils, because as I said, oils that have been processed the way they have been heated 4 times before you're even going to take it. So before you even lift it off the supermarket shelf like this, before you lift it off the supermarket shelf, it's actually been heated 4 times before you take it off the shelf, way over 200 degrees centigrade, which makes it highly carcinogenic. And then there's certain things like caustic soda is used in the processing, and butylated hydroxyanisole, which is a waste product from the petrol industry, is used. Then certain parts per million are allowed to remain. But more than any of those, I'm concerned about the heating process that this goes through. So I only use extra virgin or 100% cold pressed oils. Let's move on. Okay, this is an exceptionally good salt. I've actually been to the plant where they actually process the salt, and it's naturally harvested straight out of the sea. It doesn't have anything added, no anti-caking agents, nothing actually added to it, and it's wonderful to use in the kitchen. None of the products that we're talking about here, I mean, we're promoting some products here. We're not getting anything for doing it. These are products we genuinely use. There's no, it's not an endorsement or anything like that. It's just that I use these products, and I'm happy that you use them as well.
That's all for me.
That's all for you. Yes.
For my soul.
Oh, you still on your head. Yes.
And on my knee.
I wonder if we should show. Here you can see that this salt has iodine added to it and a free-flowing agent. So it has some anti-caking agent added to it, but they don't list what it is. And I'm always nervous when people don't list what they add. There are anti-caking agents that are safe to use and are natural, but they don't list it. And usually when they don't list it, it could be one of the cheaper ones, which is something that may be harmful. Well, here, for example, is a seasoning. Salt, starch, flavorants. That could be MSG again, garlic, spices, herbs. Sodium cyclamate and acesulfame K are both artificial sweeteners. Anti-caking agents. You've got 2 anti-caking agents with the numbers in there. Vegetable oil, again, highly processed and heated. An antioxidant, wheat cereal, which contains gluten. And about the only thing that's beneficial here or remotely good would be the chilies and the tomato. For goodness sake, just buy your own chilies and your own tomato and make your own at home. But putting this stuff into the body, I would be very nervous about this. It's just something I would never do, and I certainly wouldn't give it to children.
Okay.
Here's some of the new products that are out in the market. This one, for example, is brown rice with sun-dried tomatoes. And my concern with something like this is that sulfur dioxide is invariably used to preserve the sun-dried tomatoes, because sun-dried tomatoes are very prone to infestation with weevils and moths and worms and things. So I would be very nervous about using this. I see on the back of the label here, it's got parboiled brown rice and sun-dried tomatoes, but it doesn't at any point say whether there's sulfur dioxide, and I'm going to actually phone the company, and you guys can listen into the conversation and find out. Invariably there'll be somebody who says, no, well, I don't know, I'll go and find out, and possibly it'll take a week or two. I'd be very surprised if they know straight away, but I'd be very surprised if there's not sulfur dioxide on here. And the fact that it's not listed is very serious. The sulfur dioxide can actually cause an asthma attack in an asthmatic. All right. Okay. All right. And you say that'll be tomorrow?
I will try and get back to you tomorrow as soon as possible.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, there you have it. They can't tell us today, and
And I will try and find this out for you as soon as possible.
all right. Okay. Okay. Bye.
Thank you.
There we have it. 24 hours later, nothing's changed, and I find this is usually the case with most consumer lines. I will let you know if I find anything out. Nothing more I can do at this point. Alright, when it comes to convenience foods, I do use some tinned foods. A lot of people seem quite shocked at that, but there's certain things that I don't have access to at certain times of the year, like asparagus. I find asparagus, and you can pretty much go for any make, depends on what flavour you like. I haven't found any asparagus yet with any preservatives in. They all contain just asparagus and salt. Ingredients: asparagus, water, salt. Ingredients, of course I make a wonderful asparagus a la king. Maybe you can make it. Asparagus, water and salt. It doesn't really matter what make you take off. They all say asparagus, salt and water. And my question is, if you can do this with asparagus, why don't they do this with other vegetables? They all contain salt. So I'm making a real mess here. I will use whatever's available, and when it comes to asparagus, I basically take, whatever's going at a good price. I like the Henry asparagus, they're very nice. And the green ones. And let me see if I can find some white. I'll take some of these in white. Oh, goodness, here's Goldcrest, which is very nice. These are lovely for the asparagus a la king. I use these. Let's just take another look. Okay. You got to be a little bit careful with mushrooms. You have mushrooms, water, salt, and citric acid. Citric acid is basically like vitamin C, so it's actually one of the safer additives that you can use. It's not a problem for most people. Of course, copious quantities of citric acid may cause a stomach ulcer, but that's if you eat pure citric acid, not if you use it like that. Let's take another look at one here. Also, mushrooms, water, salt, and citric acid. That's safe. You start running into problems when the mushrooms are in a creamy sauce. That's when you start getting into creamed mushrooms, for example, like this. This is when you start getting creamed mushrooms, you start running into problems. You've got the water, the mushrooms, but now you've got vegetable fat, you've got wheat flour, milk powder, starch, corn syrup, solids, cream, flavorants, and invariably that's MSG or monosodium glutamate, spices. So, creamed stuff I wouldn't buy. I'd make my own if you wanted to make it with potato flour to thicken it with your own salt and seasoning. And you can make delicious, like the asparagus a la king. As I said, we'll make that in one of the DVDs. Okay.
Chickpeas.
I do buy chickpeas in tins for the simple reason that if you're going to make them from fresh, it takes you at least 4 to 5 hours to cook them. And when I think of putting chickpeas into a salad, I can only have 4 hours to prepare the chickpeas. So if you plan in advance, then you can cook your chickpeas for your 4 or 5 hours, and they freeze beautifully. So you can cook your chickpeas, freeze them in Ziploc bags, and take them out of the freezer as and when you need them. But if you're making a salad, sometimes you want the chickpeas right now. I don't have a problem with tinned chickpeas. They have been cooked in the tin. The tin is lined to protect them. By law, you're not allowed to just cook straight onto a tin surface, so you have to have that protective layer. And if you check that out, it's chickpeas, water, and salt. Chickpeas, water, and salt. They all contain chickpeas, water, and salt. Chickpeas, water, and salt. So then I just go for the best label, or whichever one I prefer, or in fact, whichever's the cheapest. And I see the Marina is on a good price this month, so I will buy quite a few tins of this. Another reason why you can't just blatantly say, okay, in a blanket statement like that particular brand is okay and they're always okay. Because you may find that they make one product that's free of preservatives, sugar and colorants and flavorants, but another one may have something added. So very often if there's a recipe involved that added. For example, I buy the Mayfair red kidney beans. They just contain red kidney beans, water and salt, and of course you can make your own, but again, when you want to use beans, very often you use them at the last minute, and now suddenly you've got to go and soak them overnight and rinse them and boil them for a couple of hours. But for example, if you were to buy the chili bean mix, it contains the pinto beans, tomato puree, and then it's got sugar, modified starch, which is basically just like flour. It usually contains gluten, so watch out for that one if you're gluten intolerant. The worst thing here basically is your sugar. There aren't any preservatives or additives. So if on the odd occasion you desperately needed, or and you were camping or something, you may find that odd bit of sugar not affecting you, but it's actually better to buy the red kidney beans and make your own chili at home and sweeten it yourself with either a bit of honey. I like to add apple or sweet potatoes, particularly nice in a chili bean dish if you need to sweeten it. Again, we're back down to the beans. I do like using butter beans. Again, I don't always have the time or inclination to soak them and cook them for hours on end. But here, for example, if you've got 3 kinds of butter beans. This one here has got, you can take a look at the labels down here. This one, for example, it's very common to put cane sugar in with the butter beans. So I try and avoid that one. Sodium chloride is just salt. So it contains butter beans, water and salt, but then the cane sugar as well. This one is written in a different language, but you've got your English, beans, water and salt. And this one also is beans, water and salt. So of course you can find butter beans without sugar. Just read the label. Good old-fashioned baked beans. I'd rather make my own at home. Buy your own natural beans. You find these beans down here. Let's just get them. Pinto beans. You can use your own Barlotti beans, like that. Beans, water and salt, and add your own tomato puree. If you want to sweeten it, use some honey or some fructose or sweet potato or apple. But if you take, traditional baked beans, look at the ingredients there. We've got tomato sauce, which is tomatoes, water, cane sugar, modified starch, spices. Not as great. Better to make your own. Alright, so mustard I like to use in a lot of dishes. It gives a lovely flavor to, particularly where you're trying to get a more cheesy flavor, but you don't want to use cheese. You use a bit of mustard and a bit of soy sauce. We're going to see if we can find some soy sauce with no additives in it. You can use traditional mustard powder, but I just find that even the mustard flour, here it's just plain mustard flour. It's very nice, but it's not as easy to work with as the ready-made mustard. Now if you were to take the paste version of the same mustard, you'd see it's got a whole bunch of things: water, mustard, sugar, salt, wheat, flour, citric acid, colorants and citral. I mean, for goodness sake, we don't need to add that to mustard. And if you start reading a lot of different labels, you'll see here: water, mustard, salt, vegetable oil. This one's got a heated processed vegetable oil to it, spices, acidity regulator. Okay, that's citric acid. Soy lecithin, beta carotene is the colorant. Well, that's great. Herbs and spices. So I found that, after reading all the labels, there's really only one that I find, ready-made mustard, that I can use that doesn't contain any sugar. Marnay mustard down here is what I use, and it contains water, mustard seeds, vinegar, salt, spices and herbs. They make another one which contains sugar. So this one, for example, contains sugar. So you've got to read. You can't just grab any one, because this one's got sugar and this one doesn't contain. So the blue lid, and when we get to peanut butters, I'll show you there's some peanut butters with sugar from the same brand and some without sugar. So I buy the one without the sugar, and this is the only one that I found that doesn't contain sugar in it. For the whole soy sauce issue, because I find that they just either contain sugar or wheat or yeast, or, this one is horrific. This one's got, we've got a soy sauce here that's got hydrolyzed vegetable protein, salt, sugar, molasses, caramel, acidifying agent, modified starch, preservatives, sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate. So it's got 2 preservatives in it, and there's absolutely no need for this, because I know you can get soy without preservatives. It's just not easy. This one contains sugar and wheat, so if you're wheat or sugar intolerant, it's not a great thing to have. So I actually find, this one, preserved with potassium sorbate, contains MSG. Wheat flour, salt, caramel is like burnt sugar. That's basically what it is. So I actually found myself resorting to just using Marmite and diluting it with I dilute the Marmite with water and turn it into a fluid, or just use it in a paste and add it to different dishes like that. If you don't have Marmite, Vegemite in Australia, any other vegetable yeast-based, obviously in a yeast-free diet you can't use Marmite, but just be careful of the soy sauces, they're difficult to use. Okay. Alright, I'm not a great tomato sauce user myself. I prefer using the homemade Italian or the Italian tomato puree, and I sweeten with honey and I add my own herbs and spices. The recipe is in recipe book 1, and I think in other versions in recipe book 2. But on the supermarket shelf, the only one that I know of that doesn't contain preservatives or colorants or thickener is this particular make, but it does contain sugar. So it is still sweetened with sugar, and there's quite a lot, because Your main ingredient there is tomatoes and cane sugar, which means it's the second biggest ingredient in here, and we have no idea how much it contains. So, you know, as an occasional treat, if a child's got to have a shop-bought tomato sauce, this is better, but it does contain sugar. At least there are no preservatives and additives. But I would make my own, and in fact that's what I do. And we'll make tomato sauce at home for one of the future DVDs. Oh, let's do the jam. Okay, another minefield of a jam. And what the jams that are great are these Philadelphia ones. It comes in a variety of interesting flavors. Our personal favorite is the fig, and it contains no preservatives and no added sugar. And what this is made with is quite awesome. Unsweetened grape juice concentrate, lemon juice, and they use a fruit pectin as the gelling agent. And there's 50% of it is fruit, so I feel very comfortable using these. And we of course have them on rice cakes because we're gluten intolerant, and occasionally Mark sneaks it onto real bread. And the strawberry is the other one that you enjoy, huh, Mark?
Yeah.
But there's no excuse. I mean, these are freely available all over the world. They're from France, you get them in the United States, they're found in Australia, and you can find them everywhere in South Africa. These are great jams. Peanut butter is something that kids absolutely love. And if you can find organic, homemade, organic, homemade peanut butter, which you find in some health shops, that's great. It's very difficult to find. You can make your own, of course, if you need. You just need a good food processor, and you can use olive oil or cold pressed sunflower oil or even flax oil to blend it. But you know, you just some fun kids in making that changeover to a healthier diet. Your children are used to the very commercial tastes of peanut butter, and they usually contain a whole lot of things. If you take a look here, peanuts, sugar, vegetable oil, salt. That's pretty pure. This is quite a pure one, okay? But it does contain vegetable oil. A lot of let's check the labels here. Ingredients: peanuts, sugar, vegetable salt. So they're all kind of much of a muchness. Okay? This one's the black cat, okay? The ingredients on here, we've got peanuts and stabilizer. That's all that you've got. There's no sugar in this particular brand. But if you were to take one with the red label, ingredients: peanuts, cane sugar, stabilizer, salt. And the one with the green label, peanuts, cane sugar, stabilizer, salt. So I would go for the one with the yellow lid if you were buying peanut butter. And in fact, this is one of the cameraman's just asked me to please buy him some peanut butter, so I'll do that, and we'll get the yellow lid. I'm always asked about which is the best vanilla to use, and you know, natural vanillas are available today. Natural vanilla extract is available. If you turn the label over, it's a bit horrifying because it says natural, and then you read the label and it's not natural. It contains glycerine, propylene, glycol, water, we know that's natural, and then the vanilla is natural, oleoresonol, sugar, citric acid, and the preservative sodium benzoate, which can cause asthma attacks, hyperactivity. So again, you're kind of stuck. So, you know, what do you go for? This has got flavorants, alcohol, colorants. You know, I mean, at the end of the day, you need to actually buy the expensive, genuine vanilla, otherwise leave it out.
Look at you.
Okay, you'll find yourself actually just missing out whole sections of the aisle. There's certain areas you just don't even stop at. You know, you just walk and you think, well, there's nothing here that I can buy. But there is something here that I can buy, so I just need the cameraman to come back and show him something. Rice cakes, again, a minefield. Read the ingredients. Some have got added fat, some don't have added fat. One of my favorite is the organic corn thins. I really like these. They contain organic maize and sesame seeds and salt. But if you take any of the other labels off the shelf, they contain heated vegetable fats. Oh no, this one's got maize, linseed, soy and salt. Now if you're soy intolerant, you can't have that. Or you may find that this one, for example, has canola oil, which is heated and processed and highly carcinogenic. So don't just think because one label's okay that everything under that label. I must stress that again. So I like these. The green label's the one that I go from. Even if you go for this one, which is the original, it's got maize, sunflower oil and salt. And again, that is a highly processed oil. So you'll find it will also repeat on you. Whereas this one, okay, I am in the cleaning aisle and I really just, there's very little that I ever buy in this aisle because, you know, it's not environmentally safe, this products. Some of it is environmentally safe, but very seldom do you actually find them in a normal supermarket these days, unless you have a, you know, a great supermarket. Here's a particular brand that you could use if you weren't using ours. The Enchanter Grains is totally organic and biodegradable and all the rest, but some people find that they prefer using a powder to a gel, and then you can use our powder. But there's really nothing in this aisle that I would buy. I don't even buy dog and cat food, and I have dogs and cats. We buy specialized dog food, which we'll talk about in another DVD, and we feed our dogs veggies and real meat. I don't buy any of these toothpastes. I use the Green People organic toothpaste, and we interviewed on this DVD Michelle Mountain, and that's the toothpaste that I use. Again, it's a product that's available all around the world. I don't use any deodorants, any of the spray stuff, none of the skin products. I don't use any of the feminine hygiene products. I use the NaturCare. I use the NaturCare products over there. I don't like using anything with those bleaches, and don't use headache powders, and occasionally we may need tissues. Very seldom buy bottled water. They make a great sports bottle, which they don't have here. Just remember to replace your cartridges on a monthly basis. Every time you go shopping, buy another cartridge. But, you know, once a month, and make sure you're replacing it. When it comes to juices, again, a huge minefield. Huge minefield when it comes to juices.
Okay.
You know, I mean, there's just, it's horrifying to see what is in juices, and even some of the juices with sort of natural labels on them. Here we get into the sort of more natural ones. And the juices that I can recommend are the liquid fruits with 100%. I don't have a problem recommending liquid fruit and series. I've been to the factories, and I can honestly say they definitely have no sugar, no preservatives, and they're made with a lot of integrity. And these are the juices that I use at home. I love using the grape juice because it can make my glühwein with it. It's great cold, it's great hot. You can actually put hot water with any of them and have your own fruit teas. So a quick, easy way to make fruit teas is to put the juice. The mango is particularly nice. If you take the Ceres mango, for example, over here, put that in a cup with water and boiling water on top of that. Very delicious drink, the Ceres mango. I'll take some of that as well. And that's basically it. There's really, I mean, there's so many aisles I just miss out on. I sometimes buy frozen peas. I don't buy ice cream. I make my own homemade ice cream. We just get an ice cream machine. It's the quickest thing you can do. And of course, the whole aisle with sweets and biscuits and cereals, we don't go down there at all. It's just not. We use our products and that's it. So that's our shopping.